happening there. That whole conversation was about Iran and what was going to happen next and what the options were. And then J.D. Vance came out in the briefing room in the afternoon and sort of reiterated things. You know, we want a deal. Iran cannot be nuclear. And if they don't agree to that, then war's back on the table.
The other thing he talked about, of course, was politics and what was on his mind. He endorsed Ed Galrine of Kentucky. And here we go.
We have a great candidate, I believe, in Texas. And I believe the Texas candidate, who's Ken Paxton, I think he'll win. I think probably he'll win very substantially. And I think he'll go on to defeat a very defective candidate, a candidate that believes in 6 genders. And he takes hits at Jesus Christ. And he's wearing a mask 6 months ago. Whereas anybody wearing a mask 6 months ago doesn't get it. And he's a vegan. He's a vegan in Texas. And you can't get elected as a vegan in Texas.
Did you talk to Senate leadership on the Republican side about endorsing against an incumbent?
I did. They'll be all right with it. They want to win. I know how to win.
Are you worried about ballroom?
Some of them don't know how to win. I know how to win.
Sir,
I think I've proven that, haven't I?
are you worried about the ballroom funding, Mr. President? There's speculation that could be...
The ballrooms are being built. I'm building the ballroom. You saw it yesterday, right?
Yeah.
We're building a great ballroom. It's been needed. It's a very military complex. The roof is actually a drone port. The roof of the ballroom is a drone port, and it gives great safety to everything below. It's good. We're building a really great ballroom, but it's also a strong military position for our people.
Do you think
Vance or Rubio
did better in the press briefing, or it's
Do I think who?
Vance or Rubio did better in the press briefing?
I think they both did great. What do you want me to say, right? I think they both did. Do you like that? That's pretty good, though, right? I think they both did good. I watched both of them. They're both very good men, really are.
Did you have a problem with Prime Minister Netanyahu?
When her husband votes against me all the time, can you imagine? I don't know what's with him. You better ask him what's with him. Her husband, she's married to a certain congressman. He votes again. He likes voting against Trump. You know what happens with that? It doesn't work out well. I don't know why he does. But.
Mr. President, are you going to...
Taiwan, do you have any plans to call President Lai before you make your decision on the arms deal?
What?
Do you have any plans to call President Lai of Taiwan before you make a decision on the weapons package?
Well, I'll speak to him. I speak to everybody. We have that situation very well in hand. We had a great meeting with President Xi. It was amazing, actually. It was amazing. Many of you were there. We'll work on the Taiwan problem.
What have you said to Prime Minister Netanyahu about Iran and how long to hold off on strikes?
He's fine. He'll do whatever I want him to do. He's a very, very good man. He'll do whatever I want him to do, and he's a great guy. To me, he's a great guy. Don't forget, he was a wartime prime minister, and he's not treated right in Israel, in my opinion. I'm right now at 99% in Israel. I could run for prime minister, so maybe after I do this, I'll go to Israel, run for prime minister. I had a poll this morning. I'm 99%, so that's good. But no, he's a wartime prime minister, and I just don't think they treat him well.
Mr. President, what do you do?
I think they have a president over there that treats him very poorly.
You're on the same page with him on Iran?
Yeah.
Have you spoken to anyone about replacing Lauren Boebert after she...
If somebody comes along, I'd look. It's a little late in the race, but if somebody comes along, I'd look. Certainly.
Poland troops, sir. Do you see yourself in him at all? A former reality TV star?
No, I'd like to see him do well. He's a character. I don't know him. I assume he probably supports me. Does he support me?
So?
I think so, yeah. I heard he does. I heard he's a big MAGA person. He's doing well. I don't know. If you have a rigged vote out there, that's the problem. The votes are rigged. You have a really rigged vote in California. You have all the mail-in ballots, everything else. Very hard to win because the elections are very dishonest. If we had Jesus Christ come down and count the votes, I would have won California because I do great with Hispanics. But it's a rigged vote. They sent out 38 million votes. Nobody knows where they're going. Of course, the Democrats do, I guess. But disproportionately, Democrats get many more votes. Some get 8 votes. They get 8 cards, and Republicans have to call in, where's my card? It's a rigged system. One of the most, not the worst, I'll give you a list. Maybe I'll do my list. But California is one of the most dishonest states for voting.
What's your message to the cadets today?
Just enjoy your life, you know. They enjoy it. They're great guys. It's my second time at the Coast Guard Academy. They're great guys. We like them. You know, you don't realize how important Coast Guard is until you have a hurricane. And I remember the big hurricane in Texas where these kids go on boats and they go into the waves that are 20 times higher than the boat. And I say, can they really make it? I'm watching this. And they say they find a way, but they were going into waves, these massive waves, to save people that were inside. And you don't realize it, but boy, they are good. They are good seamen. They are unbelievable. I wouldn't want to do it.
Mr. President,
I'm a very brave person, but I wouldn't want to do it.
What do you make of President Xi meeting with Putin this week?
Well, he told me he was going to. I think it's good. I get along with both of them, but I think it's good. I don't know if the ceremony was quite as brilliant as mine. I watched. I think we topped them. Good team. But no, I get along with Putin. I get along with everybody, but your husband and a few others.
On the Iran deal, would you be open to a limited deal that just covered the Strait of Hormuz?
What does that mean?
On Iran, just a limited deal just for a longer ceasefire.
We'd have to open the strait. That would open immediately. So we're going to give this one shot. I'm in no hurry. You never think, oh, the midterms, I'm in a hurry. I'm in no hurry. Ideally, I'd like to see few people killed as opposed to a lot. We can do it either way, but I'd like to see few people killed. I just wonder whether or not they have the good of the people, because some of the things they're doing to me means they don't have the good of the people, and they have to have the good of the people. There's a lot of anger now in Iran because people are living so badly. There's a lot of foment that we haven't seen before so much, and we'll see what happens.
Has it taken longer than you expected it would to make a deal with Iran?
Well, let's put it this way. You were in Vietnam 19 years, right? You were in Afghanistan and these other places 10 years. You were in Iraq. How long were you in Iraq? 12 years? You were in Korea for 7 years. World War II is different. That was 4 years. I'm in for 3 months. And much of it's been ceasefire. So, and you know what? You lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers in these various wars. In 2 wars, Venezuela, where we lost nobody, and here, we lost 13 people. Now, 13 people is 13 too much, but we lost 13 people. In other wars, you lost hundreds of thousands of people. So people don't like it when you say, oh, do you know you've lost 13? We've lost in 2 major wars. We took over Venezuela. We essentially took over Iran, and we've lost so far 13 people. Somebody else would have lost 100,000 people, okay? But I get a kick when I look at somebody on television. He's lost 13 people. I lost 13 people. They lost 13 people leaving an airport. Obama, 13 very good people that I got to know their families. So what we've done is amazing, and we have them decimated. Iran is decimated, and I mean, you're going to see things that are amazing. You're going to see a lot of amazing things over the next 3 years for our country. And I'd like to talk more about the economic, because we have $18 trillion being spent, and no country's ever had anything like that. We have car plants pouring in from Mexico, Canada. They don't want to be there. There's no reason to be there because they want to sell to our market. We have car companies and plants coming in from Germany, from South Korea, from Japan, coming in by the billions. And they're being built now. You're going to see things that nobody thought was possible.
Mr. President,
You're going to end up saying he's the greatest president that ever lived. Goodbye, everybody.
James called me over the weekend, Mr. President. He suggested that there's still people in your DOJ and FBI that are waiting you out. They're waiting until your administration is over to get back to work. Do you think those people are still in the DOJ and FBI?
I hope not. Well, we're going to seek them out. We'll seek them out. We'll get rid of them. Okay? Because you have in every agency, you have scum. And certainly they did in the FBI and DOJ. But Todd Blanche is doing a fantastic job. Cash is doing a very good job. So we will prevail. I've been standing here a long time with you, many years, right? And they've been saying, I think it's it. I think he's trouble. Here I am, you know. It's It's a very constant situation, but I think you're going to find that we have great people in the FBI, and we have great people in DOJ. Todd Blanche has really been doing a great job, and a lot of things to come. We have a lot of things that are coming right now. It's going to be great. Our country's doing well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay,
So, welcome everybody to a extremely big day, even bigger down here in South Florida. A magnificent, monstrous day, actually for the entire country. I found it odd that he spent a little over 10 minutes talking to the press and not one single question about what's happening today. Not one single question. I looked around at a lot of podcasters. Hardly anybody's talking about it. And I'm thinking to myself, are you guys not understanding what is going on today? And I'm not talking about Thomas Massey getting his butt whooped. I don't care about that. Panicans, grifters, crazy pollsters, you were exposed, and take a seat over there. We don't need to pay any attention to you. I'm talking about the start of the liberation of Cuba. And so at 1 o'clock, Todd Blanche, Ashley Moody, the Attorney General of Florida, a couple other people are going to be making a speech, and they're going to be making a speech at some place many of you may not know if you're not from or haven't visited Miami, a place called the Freedom Tower. I want to tell you about the Freedom Tower real quick. This is what Google describes it as. It's a giant building. If you've ever been down here, the Freedom Tower is a National Historic Landmark in downtown Miami that serves as a monument to the Cuban exile experience and a premier cultural space for Miami-Dade College, known as, quote, the Ellis Island of the South. It is most famous for its role in processing hundreds of thousands of Cuban refugees fleeing political oppression in the 1960s and 1970s because of Castro. And so what you're about to see happen at 1 o'clock or thereabouts is what everybody's expecting, that no one's announced it, but it's Cuba's turn in the barrel. Venezuela, you had yours. Iran, you're still having yours. And now, Cuba, it's your turn. We're seeing the Monroe Doctrine turn into the Donroe Doctrine in living color in real time. The Western Hemisphere is basically going to be ours. The media doesn't even seem like they want to talk about it. You know what's really funny? Since Castro has been, or some derivation thereof, have been in Cuba for all this time, and here we are talking about the liberation of the Cuban people, the Cuban island. Funny how there's no Democrats applauding this. Funny how the people who say they're for the people and they want to help all these other poor peoples, they don't really say much about Cuba. That should speak volumes to you. You see, the communism that Mondami is trying to import and impart in New York is the same communism that these people in Cuba have already been suffering through. There it is, 90 miles off the coast of the United States, and we all can see that what Mondami is doing in New York, what AOC, what all of them are advocating for, Hassan Piker, applicable name, everything that they're advocating for, we can put a microscope on it and go, it doesn't work. We've seen this movie before. There is no possible way you are going to do any sort of socialism or communism that works. It's funny, as I look up, President Trump is just now getting off the stage in Connecticut at the Coast Guard Academy. So he spoke for over an hour. It's a long speech. But I'm wondering if he's up there and he's getting off now just before Todd Blanche and the boys come on, because I don't think there are any coincidences. The Coast Guard is going to be instrumental in seeing what happens when they start their move towards Cuba. Don't let that be of any insignificance for you. Make sure you understand that Key West is right there. And then, of course, whatever they want to do militarily in Cuba itself. But I want to play you something, and this should have just, sent chills up the spine of anti-American people, people who don't want to see Cuba prosper, or the media who didn't understand what's about to happen.
En un día como hoy, en el 1902, la bandera cubana ondeó por primera vez sobre un país independiente. Pero sé que hoy ustedes, quienes llaman a la isla su hogar, atraviesan dificultades inimaginables. Hoy quiero compartirles la verdad sobre el motivo de su sufrimiento y quiero contarles lo que nosotros en los Estados Unidos le ofrecemos para ayudarlos no solo a aliviar la crisis actual, sino también a construir un futuro mejor. La razón por la que se ven obligados a sobrevivir 22 horas al día sin electricidad no se debe a un bloqueo petrolero por parte de Estados Unidos. Como ustedes saben mejor que nadie, llevan años sufriendo de apagones. La verdadera...
As he's talking, I want you to concentrate on something. Obviously, that's Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. He's not talking to you. He's not talking to me. The Secretary of State of the United States is giving a direct message to the people of Cuba, those who can see it, those who can disseminate it so that more people can see it. And he's basically saying, we're coming, hold on. Pretty much what President Trump has been telling Americans. Oh, yeah, you're paying a little bit higher price right now. Hold on, chill, we're coming, we got this. And that's what he's saying to Cuba. It was funny. I just saw somebody in the chat. It's the same thing I had thought. Ray says this. Ray said, holy crap, did I read that right? They have 18 billion in assets for the time being. You see, right now, and I don't know if anybody has been talking about the executive order that President Trump signed yesterday. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But Scott Bessent, all the people in the financial sector have already been working to secure where this money is. They already know where it is. They're going to seize a ton of this money because I bet you a lot of it is here in America. And probably there's a lot of Cubans that are going to point, here's where things are. They know where they've been, sticking the cash in these bolt holes. So all this is happening at the same time. I didn't see anybody report on that executive order. President Trump signed an executive order yesterday afternoon to basically clamp down on remittances, as Marco Rubio just said. Remittances meaning sending money all over the place and using the American system to do it, whether it's people sending money back someplace like to Mexico or otherwise. He signed that executive order yesterday. The timing of how they put this stuff together is absolutely impeccable. While the media is running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to say Trump this, Trump that, Trump that, this administration is getting it done. They don't care that the masses of the world are screaming. They don't care that Susan Collins and Murkowski and Mitch McConnell and John Thune. We got to believe at this point, especially after what you saw yesterday, you have to believe something big is coming. There's no way President Trump is doing all this around the world and is just going to be stymied by these idiots here in the United States. You notice what he's saying. He's saying something that should have been said to Americans a long time ago. He didn't say anything. Hey, we're going to make sure you get food stamps. We're going to make sure you get Section 8. We're going to make sure you get free bus passes. No, if you noticed just seconds ago, the message that he's saying is you can own a newspaper. You can own a television station. You can own a construction company. You can own your own business. They're not going to go down there to try and create a welfare state. They're going to go to Cuba and say, you guys have all the assets you need to prosper. The more prosperous Cuba is, the better it is for the Western Hemisphere and the United States. We don't want another welfare state. And I'm pretty sure the people in Cuba don't want a welfare state. They know what they have. When I've talked to Cubans down in Miami, they want to go back. They know the ability to turn that place around quickly, very quickly. I'm watching them all celebrate here, man. They are ecstatic about what's about to happen. I don't know about you, but I found that to be absolutely massive. And so it is basically speaking the antithesis of what's going on with the Democrat Party, who just want to take care of you. And the message to the Cuban people is completely different. We don't want to take care of you. We want to see you prosper. And it's funny, well, there were a few people who talked about the indictment that may be coming, but not a whole lot of people were even seeing what was going on or on purposely ignoring it as they're starting to take their seats. Let me jump to this while we're waiting, because they're starting to get ready.
The day of justice is finally arriving. We are so grateful for this administration for not looking the other way, for the atrocities committed in Cuba by the regime, by the damage that that regime has done and continues to do to the national interest and the national security interests of the United States, and yes, for standing up for these murdered Americans whose day of justice is finally coming to fruition.
Okay, so that was moments ago on Capitol Hill. Now, here's the story. Former Cuban President Raul Castro. He's the brother of Fidel, age 94, facing a likely federal indictment. The acting AG, Todd Blanche, expected to announce charges against the communist leader, accused of ordering a shoot-down of 2 unarmed jets flying in international waters near the island nation back in 1996. Francis Suarez, a Cuban-American, former mayor of Miami, also a Fox News contributor, with me now, and hello to you, sir. Let's get to the potential indictment in a moment. But first, the Wayback Machine. Former President Bill Clinton, when this happened, 1996.
The planes pose no credible threat to Cuba's security. Although the group that operated the planes had entered Cuban airspace in the past on other flights, this is no excuse for the attack and provides, let me emphasize, no legal basis under international law for the attack.
What is the effect?
Now, I wanted to say that was 1996 when Slick Willie was president. 30 years, almost to the day, 30 years. No president, even though you know they murdered people, blew them out of the sky, nobody has done anything in 30 years. They completely ignored it. Oh, yeah, they're dead, and we know Castro's people did it, and I guess we'll just have to live with it. And their communist activities, and their open door policy to China and Russia 90 miles off the coast of the United States, and everything will be fine. And when President Trump came in the first time and tried to do something about it, the people surrounding him completely stepped on it. Don't mess with it. Why? Why are we not going to take on Cuba? Nobody understood it. I didn't understand it. Now I understand it. Now I understand how the deep state needed these bolt holes. I can't even imagine how much money ran through Cuba for nefarious people in our country. You heard Marco Rubio say it. If they have $18 billion, if the Castro Gaesa people have $18 billion, how much is that basically a percentage of that went to other people? How many other people were getting their monthly checks or weekly checks? Everything you know about Ukraine at this point, and you heard Biden talk, and you understand what was going on there, that's new. That's just a few years old. That's an infant, embryonic grift. Cuba, right there, 90 miles away, fly over, go to Gitmo, do whatever you need to do, go ahead and get your suitcase. For 40, 50 years? Bay of Pigs, wait a second, you're talking 60 years? All of this has been going on? You don't think if they've got 18 billion, how many billions have gone through different politicians? These people right now got to be crapping themselves. They have to realize now, oh crap, Trump found this one too. And he's systematically going after every single one of these little holes that they put together. And you notice that you haven't heard anything about? You haven't heard anything about the Shield of Americas. You know, Marco's Avengers, which included Nayib Bukele and what Kristi Noem and some of those people were working on the Shield of the Americas. Remember when that was announced? And it's been quiet ever since. Sort of like just finding out that the ballroom is actually a military installation. There is so much stuff that we don't know, and we got other people out there in the news and on X talking about crap that means absolutely nothing right now.
Of an indictment, if it comes.
I think what's important first is to note that the president didn't do anything in response to that attack at the time, President Clinton. And so what you're seeing here is a case where justice delayed is not justice denied. You have President Trump 30 years after the incident, which occurred in 1996, finally taking action, finally holding the Cuban government accountable, finally holding Raul Castro, the person who ordered the assassination, accountable. And I think that demonstrates the difference between President Trump and, frankly, presidents that are Republican and Democrats that have come before him. He's a person of action. We've seen it in Venezuela. We've seen it, of course, in Iran, and we're seeing it now in Cuba. This is the final chapter of the Castro dictatorship, which has been incredibly repressive and which has assassinated its political enemies and jailed its political enemies like Ocara Liaviset and, of course, so many thousands of others. And this is the first chapter, God willing, of the freedom of the Cuban people. So it's a watershed day. It happens on Cuban Independence Day, which I think is incredibly significant. And it's
damn right it's significant. They planned this out to the letter. Cuban Independence Day at Freedom Tower, they're going to go and announce all this stuff. I mean, I don't know if it's Stephen Miller and President, I don't know who's putting all this stuff together, but it's genius. And so now I understand why the Massey nuts and the media have to spin so much BS, why they have to keep people looking over here, because if people pay attention, you wouldn't be worried about a couple extra dollars a month. And I'm not being facetious here. I did the math. It ends up being like $100, $150 extra per month for gas. And of course, a little bit more expensive for groceries. But I would venture to say, when everything breaks and you see what's on the plan, what exactly is being thought out and how it changes, you'll think, wow, I invested that money. I invested that into the Trump administration so that we could see all of this transpire. I loved how Marco said, we want to show you business. We want to not take care of you. We don't want a welfare state. Do you know that 50% of immigrants, legal or illegal, are on welfare in the United States right now? That's who we've been bringing in. What you're going to see in a minute when I show you the actual press conference is probably a press conference unlike any you've ever seen. When they come out, assuming it happens, when they come out and announce the indictment on stage, the people in the audience are going to erupt. This is going to seem like a celebration, like it really is, an Independence Day celebration.
Lost on the administration, Secretary Marco Rubio, Attorney General Todd Blanche, Jason Redding-Quignon, who is the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, Rick Scott, and of course Ashley Moody, which will be at the Freedom Tower today announcing this indictment.
Last week, when the CIA director was in Havana, a visit that was well overshadowed by the summit in Beijing, what was behind this visit, and have you been able to determine what came of it?
It's very clear what came of it because the CIA director tweeted about it. He put it on his social media. He said, do not fall into the same trap as Venezuela. It's a very clear message. The strategy of the United States has been executed in a very consistent fashion. They go after the top while they negotiate. I call it the boa constrictor strategy. They tighten and tighten the pressure around the country in question as they negotiate from a stronger position of authority. And then if the powers that be don't pay attention, take the president's will and resolve for granted, or don't act in conformity with, at some level, the reasonable request of the United States acts. And they have taken dramatic actions that have never been done before by any U.S. president. We just saw on your show, President Clinton clearly saying that what the Cuban government did violated international law. These were unarmed planes. They were assassinated. And what did the U.S. do? It did nothing. And what's the message that it sends to the world? That they can do whatever they want, act with impunity, and the U.S. is not going to hold them accountable. That has ended under this presidency.
We shall wait to see whether an indictment comes. Many people think it will, and we'll see if that's the case.
you notice what he said there. Nothing happened. You killed all these Americans, no big deal. Can't mess with it. And so now what we're seeing is completely different. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at the pictures. If it seems like I'm excited because this has been a long time coming. These people have died. Their families have had to bury whatever was left of them. And then people came across from Cuba on rafts, in bathtubs. Some got eaten by sharks. I mean, they had to get away from communism. And just 1,000 miles north here in New York, they're trying to reconstitute it. Let me put on Salazar right now. She's talking.
Up and is bringing him to justice here in the United States. It doesn't look like that has happened. But Congresswoman Salazar, what do you think the overall effect of this indictment might be?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And I just was telling Carlos that that scene that you guys are broadcasting is my district, is the heart of district number 27, the city of Miami. And today is a glorious day for our community, my community, Carlos' community, South Florida, because justice will be done. And we know that being indicted by a federal grand jury is very serious stuff. The first thing that I want to say is thank you, President Trump, because after 10 administrations, Republicans and Democrats, this president has had the courage to bring 2 Americans who were dead on the Florida Straits to justice. But not only that, is that Cuba is the #1 enemy in the Western Hemisphere for this country.
You know, an indictment is one thing. Actually bringing Raul Castro to justice is quite another, which is why I half expected to see him frog marched out there at this hearing this afternoon, this news conference this afternoon. If he is indicted.
What? If they frog march, if they've already got Raul Castro, oh no. I mean, it will go absolutely bonkers. There's no way they have him. They haven't did a Maduro. They didn't send, no, that didn't happen. Come on, man. No, not yet.
The politics, really the ruling class, the government, really, there's a government inside a government in Cuba, is Gaesa. Gaesa is a corporation of military personnel that's headed by Raul Castro. They control 70% of the economy of Cuba. So indicting Raul Castro, and if we somehow bring him to justice here in the United States, is a very clear signal from this administration that there's a new sheriff in town. We're not going to be playing around with America's #1 threat in our hemisphere, which is Cuba, and then we mean business. I mean, Noriega found that out, I guess, in Panama. Maduro found that out a couple of months ago in Venezuela, and things are changing there. I would expect that something similar may be happening in Cuba. Now, what this does, it gives the President of the United States options that he can exercise in order to bring about the change that is needed, not only for the Cuban people, but for the security of the United States.
We have to put into context for your audience. Let's put into context for the average American viewer. Castro and the Cuba regime has been the platform, the launching pad for the last 60 years for enemies, Russia, China, Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas. Nothing good comes from Cuba. Unfortunately, the Cuban people are 11 million slaves. And this president, President Trump, is the one who is recognizing that and doing something about it. So this indictment is just one of many of atrocities that the Castros have committed. And we are very pleased that is happening today.
In terms of what Congresswoman Jimenez said just a second ago, the president having options, he talked about that yesterday, and he seemed to suggest that regime change might not be one of the options that's highest on his list. Listen to what he said.
I don't know about changing the regime. I could do that, whether you change the regime or not. It's been a rough regime. They've killed a lot of people.
I hate when they do that. That is such cheap news, because do you expect the President of the United States to tell you what he's going to do? I mean, that's idiotic. Yeah, he said that there. He said it in Venezuela. There wasn't a regime change in Venezuela. They plucked Maduro out, and the lady behind him, the vice president, she got in line real quick. She didn't have to turn the regime. She understood, I don't want to get plucked out with a discombobulator and flown to Miami or New York. I'll good. Let's work this out. You don't think the discussions behind the scene are, we can make this worth your while? we can make sure that you're safe. We can make sure that you maintain, some resemblance of power. We're going to make sure you enjoy great prosperity. Just don't F up. Those are my options. That's my options. I'm giving them to you. You play ball, you'll get paid, you'll live a great life. Your people will have a great life. And so with Cuba, I don't know how far down the pecking row they have to get to. For Raul, you're out. I mean, he's old anyway. He's gone, and all the way down, it's like let's find that person. We'll get the other ones out. We'll pluck everybody else out, and we'll let you be the one we work with. Want to have a side note. You saw Maria Salazar. She was talking. She was beaming. Last night when I showed the picnic, she grabbed a hold of President Trump. And they were having a very serious conversation. One of the things she's been pushing for that nobody wants is she wants to see some sort of amnesty. And that maybe that's what he's like. That ain't happening. But anyway, they were talking very much in depth on the way out last night. So something was going on. Obviously, we don't know what it was, but here we are today. The other thing I want to tell you, many people see people from New York and other areas moving to South Florida. And they say these people are from New York are going to turn Florida blue. Well, before today, that was never going to happen. Before today, we were already, when I say we, the Republicans, are already up 1.7, 1.8 million votes here in Florida over the Democrats. 1.8. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if they come out here and say they've indicted Castro and they're getting ready to drop the discombobulator and open up the border, there is no chance, none. Throw it out the door, delete every single poll. I don't care who the Republican candidate is, a Democrat will have no chance, none, zero, zippo in the state of Florida. It ain't going to happen. You'll see. You think I'm kidding? Wait till you see these people absolutely erupt. I mean, just crazy. Which, did I have any more on this one? No. Okay, let me go to the next one. This was her talking this morning at a Republican press conference.
Today is a glorious day for the Cuban people. After 6 decades of tragedy, of misery, of distress, Cubans will be free soon. And there are no words to describe the joy they feel, not only the Cubans on the island, but the Cubans that we represent in South Florida, who live abroad, others who live abroad, but we represent all of them all over the country and across the world. I repeat, today is a glorious day for those Cubans who had to leave their homeland unwillingly, the people that we represent in the city of Miami, only because of the cruelty and the wickedness of a group of gangsters, the Castro family, who did nothing but seize the island to turn it into their own business. The Castros are in the business of power, not in the business of feeding the Cuban people on the island. But thank God, everything indicates that it's over, and that we are at the beginning of the end. Today is the beginning of the...
Notice what she just said. They don't even know. This was at about 10 o'clock when I recorded and got this piece. At 10 o'clock, 10:30-ish, even the people in Congress did know, and they may still not know what this press conference is about. You're starting to see little leaks go out there and say the indictment. But what this was billed as was a celebration of Cuba. But then the Department of Justice put out something and said, you're going to want to watch this. And so everybody started feeling like this is the indictment, isn't it? And so people have been speculating at this point, but they're kind of late getting on it. Even Congress didn't know what was happening.
End for the Castro family. And just like this poster says it, they belong to that group of gangsters. The Ayatollahs, Maduro, and he is pending, and that will end today. Thanks to President Trump. We thank the president who has taken the initiative to think about the Western Hemisphere, and especially about Cuba, because we know that Cuba is the epicenter of evil in this hemisphere. President Trump has set this agenda, the America First agenda. Well, Cuba falls right into it, because when it comes to the island, that is perfectly within the plan. a closed Cuba. I mean, we're only 90 miles away. Cuba's only 90 miles away from the city that I represent, the city of Miami in South Florida. A friendly Cuba, a prosperous Cuba, will help with the United States economy, with politics, with immigration, and that is what this country needs. Friends are in this Western Hemisphere, friends around the United States. President Trump realized that we are deeply deeply grateful to his administration and to his leadership. And today marks the moment when 60 years of destruction will come to an end. For that reason,
when you think of that, 60 years, and I've actually looked in the faces of some of these people who have suffered, per se, for 60 years through their families. And nobody has answered the call. Not a single president has said, you know what, let's go down there and fix this. And I think the one guy that wanted to, they put a bullet in his head. Remember what the whole Kennedy thing was about with the Bay of Pigs and how watch some of those old things and understand what Cuba meant to not just the communists, but the people who wanted to do things to America. Just imagine with today's technology, I mean, with satellites and everything else that they're going on, you're only 90 miles away from a communist country. 90 miles. Luckily, they're broke. Luckily, we've had a blockade. People blame us, saying the Cuban people have starved, not your leaders. Your leaders have still been doing crazy stuff. All right, so it looks like they're getting ready to start. Let me finish this.
No, I'm speaking on behalf of everyone that I have behind me. The message is for the Castro family. Understand this well, that your days are over. A federal indictment is serious stuff. If not, look at that example. Maduro thought that Trump was fooling, and he was just fooling him, and he was playing around. And President Trump gave him enough time for him to think what to do with his destiny. Look what Maduro did. He thought that President Trump was not serious. And look where Maduro is today, in a federal prison in New York. So we are sending the message to the Castro family. It's time for you to leave. It's time for you to heed the signal from the White House and do not fall into the abyss. You have the option not to wind up where Maduro is. You can leave now and let the island in the hands of the opposition forces, in the hands of freedom. So that destiny can bring Cuba to a different place. So once again, we thank the President of the United States for taking this action, for bringing justice. But like Maliatakis said, is not only the first crime that the Castro family has committed against the Cubans. We're talking about 67 years of misery, of cruelty, of being morally despicable. And thank God to this administration and to the White House and to the American people that the Cubans will be free again and will be friends with the United States for the next 100 years.
The reason why, well, not the sole reason, but one of the reasons why she looked like she was going to break out in tears. And I did see somebody in the chat going, is she Cuban? Well, of course she's Cuban. But she wasn't from Cuba, I don't believe, but her parents were. Her parents were Cuban exiles. So it's very personal to so many of these people. Even though they're American politicians, all of this is extremely personal. They either have parents, cousins, relatives, friends. They can reach out and touch somebody just by doing this who's been affected by everything that's happened down there. You don't have that in many, international things anymore. There's probably not a whole lot of people who remember what happened in Japan with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, whatever the thing was. There's probably not a whole lot of people who can reach out into their background. There's a ton of people. Nagasaki was a word. There's a ton of people down in South Florida who literally have relatives, some still stuck there. And so this is very, very, very personal for them. I'm seeing, here's what's going on at the actual event. Excuse me. And so they're getting ready to come out and do their talk. I can't believe I didn't remember Nagasaki. That was, let me look here to see what her background is. I think I had it here. Maria Salazar was born in Miami's Little Havana, and she is the daughter of Cuban exiles. She grew up bilingual, speaking both Spanish and English, and spent the big part of her childhood in Puerto Rico, where her parents settled. So, like I said, this is very, very touchy for a lot of people. And it's a good thing. So before they come on, let me tell you about one of today's sponsors of today's show, because I always forget to do these sometimes because we get rolling on here. I get talking to SV, and then it ends up being too late. Let me tell you about Lear Capital. You've seen the news for sure. You understand the headlines. Major banks are predicting gold could climb over $6,000 an ounce, with silver skyrocketing up to $300 an ounce. You're seeing right now, we're going to show you something that is going to impact this. Cuba can no longer get Venezuelan oil. They are completely at our whim. So if you're looking for that puck and where that puck is going, what do you think is going to happen when, Cuba opens up? You see, the news is finally catching up to what most of us have known for quite some time. The value of the dollar, even under assault, the demand for gold and silver is going to continue to go up and explode. But who you trust matters just as much as what you buy. That's why I trust Lear Capital, not just trust them for a partner on the show, but I actually buy my gold and silver from them. Robin and I have been a customer for quite some time. They are an education-first company that prioritizes customer experience over quick sale. And because of that, you can trust what they're talking about. Lear has thousands of satisfied customers, over $3 billion in transactions, and offers something truly a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee. That's truly unique. So you don't pay unless you are completely satisfied. I don't know if you'll find anybody else out there that will do that today. And for those interested in moving some of your retirement dollars into gold and silver, it's worth noting that Lear was recently named the best overall gold IRA company by Consumer Affairs. And if you're considering gold and silver, call them. Call the best in the business. Give them just 10 minutes. That's all it's going to take. No pressure, no hard sale, just to see if gold or silver is right for you. Call my friends at Lear Capital. Give them 10 to 15 minutes, and they'll help get you started today. 800-601-5430, 800-601-5430, or go to learberry.com, and you can download a whole bunch of information to help you learn more. And you can also qualify for up to $20,000 in bonus gold or silver. Give them a call, 800-601-5430, or go to learberry.com. And it's weird because as I'm showing you guys a lot of this information, I hope you're putting your chessboard together and you're seeing how this stuff is all playing out. The more you can actually digest and go, okay, I can see where we're going here. You may not have realized what was going to happen with Maduro. You may not have known or thought to yourself, how does Iran work? You may not know right now, how does this work with Cuba? But what you should know is Trump's doing a whole bunch of stuff, and it's here to help not just us, but people in other countries, Venezuela, Cuba, hopefully the Iranian people, which all means our markets and our ability to prosper improve as well. All right, let me check in with SV after this quick break.
to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
You know, it's funny. I just saw somebody's comment. There's a scene in Scarface where they set up camps for the Cuban people. Let me just be the first one to tell you that was not fiction. That actually happened. And it was basically under bridges where they just put fences around these people. I think they called it the Mariana boat lift. But yeah, it actually happened. Let's see here. What's that say? It's backwards. Treats of my pickleball.
No, tears of my pickleball opponents. It's the liberal tears. I've been drinking since yesterday. I am full, Barry. Woo! Wow. I drank the whole thing.
Still watching. So there's a video. I was going to download it from last night, and it was from one of these pollsters. And I'm like, I can't show it because every other word is an F-bomb. He is so pissed off. I mean, he's like, you effing people, you don't know what you did. You effed everything up. Thomas Massey was here. He was going to do this. Now you're going to F and lose the midterms. I mean, it was literally, every single other word. And I'm like, it's like a 2-minute clip. It would have taken me 30 minutes to take out all the F's in it. That's how pissed off he was. He was just losing it. And I'm like, hey man, what's up, bro? Why are you so mad? Oh
man, they need a shot of copium, man. Come on.
Wow.
There was a lot of raging. I'm still seeing it. It's crazy. You know, I mean, it was a bloodbath politically, 37-0 or something. What in the world?
Yeah, he posted about it. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know what's taking them so long, but down here things.
I do have a few things.
All right, please go ahead.
All right, I'll fill it up. So the United States military has just unalived 175 Islamists in Nigeria as jihadists keep targeting Christians. The strikes were carried out in conjunction with the Nigerian government. He basically says the Islamists have nowhere to hide under Trump. So that just came out. And then something people don't know that the actual they're grilling the SPLC in Congress today. Jordan's there. Have you heard about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're basically looking into how they worked with Biden's administration to manufacture the hate, because they obviously were funding hate groups. So he basically said, Jordan said the Biden DOJ knew all about it. They had opened an investigation. They were looking into this group. They knew the Southern Poverty Law Center was running a scam, but they dropped the case. You got to use them for your political advantage. That's exactly what the Biden administration did. And here's the scariest part of it all. It worked. It's time to destroy everything that the SPLC claims to be. The truth needs to be known by everyone.
Wow. I did see a segment where Jim Jordan was questioning somebody, and the woman she couldn't answer. I'm asking you, blah, blah, blah. Let me ask you again, since you don't seem to understand what I'm asking you. And he asked her like 5 times, and they're running scared, absolutely scared. And it just cracks me up because I keep hearing the nuts, even more so amplified after Massey got beat, telling us how we're going to lose the midterms. And one of the things I keep telling you and everybody else that's watching is we don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. They didn't even have time to grieve today. And boom, now here comes something else. Going to indictment RAUL Castro. I mean, it's just, you can't
remember that video game? Body blow. The punches just keep coming.
They cannot predict anything. I mean, somebody put in a chat, Barry, I thought you were doing 4 o'clock. Me too.
So did I.
I thought I was going to be doing a 4 o'clock show. I didn't know that all hell was going to break loose and that they're going to do this thing with Maduro in Miami today. Nobody sent me an email. They didn't call me. Hey, Barry, just let you know. I know you like to do 4 o'clock, but could you slide into 1 o'clock? I'm like, oh my God, it's so busy. I didn't have a chance to cover President Trump talking at the Coast Guard. Which, by the way, he talked for about an hour and 15 minutes in a hot sun.
I saw part of it. Yeah, it was a lot. He dropped a lot of cool stuff. That'll be good to watch. I was just walking out the door earlier when I saw you. I said, oh, crap, I got to spin the car around. I'm back.
I just want to let people know. Yes, I wanted to and my intent is to commit to a specific time. But I also talked to Robin and Ashley both, and I said, okay, we got to jump because they're getting ready. But I also realized we built this channel by following Trump news, and so I have to make sure.
Absolutely.
All right, I got to jump. Here they come. All right. All right, everybody, going to bring on, I don't know who this lady is, but let's see what she's saying.
Good afternoon. I'm Madeline Pumariega, president of Miami-Dade College. Welcome to the Freedom Tower. Today we gather at the Freedom Tower for a solemn and meaningful occasion as we welcome representatives from the United States Department of Justice, community leaders, families, honored guests to commemorate the legacy of the Brothers to the Rescue and honor the victims whose lives were tragically lost in this pursuit of freedom. This ceremony is deeply significant because we stand here at the Freedom Tower, our Freedom Tower, a place that represents refuge, resilience, and enduring hope for those who came to America seeking liberty after fleeing a tyranny and oppression in Cuba. So many of our parents, our uncles and aunts, walked through these doors, 400,000 of them, looking for hope and opportunity. Today is their day. For generations of Cuban exiles, this building became more than a processing center. It became a symbol that freedom was still possible, a symbol that democracy, human dignity, and human rights matter. Today, we remember the 4 brave men of the Brothers to the Rescue, whose lives were taken on February 24th, 1996. Not in war, but during a humanitarian mission rooted in compassion and in courage. Their sacrifice became a painful reminder to the world of the brutality of the Cuban regime and the high price so many have paid for speaking freely, defending democracy, and standing for human rights. We also recognize the countless victims who have suffered under the Cuban regime across generations, prisoners, families separated by exile, those silenced for dissidence, and all who have endured persecution, all in the pursuit of freedom and dignity. Their stories, our stories, are part of the larger story of Cuba, but also the part of the story of Miami and this Freedom Tower itself. As we gather today, may we honor the memory of those not only with reflection, but with renewed commitment to truth, to justice, and to the preservation of the democratic values for future generations. Thank you for being here today for this important commemoration. May God bless each of you, and may God bless the United States of America. And to our brothers and sisters in Cuba, we hear you. Freedom will come. Cuba will be libre. It is now my distinct honor, representing all of you, to introduce the United States Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be here in the great state of Florida. Today, we are announcing an indictment charging RAUL Castro and several others with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals. Mr. Castro and the others are charged with additional crimes as well, including destruction of aircraft and 4 individual counts of murder. The indictment was returned by a grand jury sitting in this district in Miami on April 23rd, 2026, and was unsealed today. For nearly 30 years, the families of 4 murdered Americans have waited for justice. On February, this is a story all too familiar. On February 24th, 1996, 2 civilian aircraft operated by Brothers to the Rescue were shot down over international waters by military aircraft from Cuba. 4 men were killed: Carlos Costa, Armando Alejandro Jr., Mario de la Peña, and Pablo Morales. They were unarmed civilians and were flying humanitarian missions for the rescue and protection of people fleeing oppression across the Florida Straits. As alleged in the indictment, Raul Castro and 5 co-defendants participated in a conspiracy that ended with Cuban military aircraft firing missiles at those civilian planes and killing 4 Americans. Those are the allegations returned by a federal grand jury. My message today is clear. The United States and President Trump does not and will not forget its citizens. I want to say that we also do not forget the families, the loved ones, and the friends who have carried grief and heartache for 30 years. For the first time in nearly 70 years, senior leadership of the Cuban regime has been charged in this country, in the United States of America, for acts of violence resulting in the deaths of American citizens. Nations and their leaders cannot be permitted to target Americans, kill them, and not face accountability. President Trump is committed to restoring a very simple but important principle. If you kill Americans, we will pursue you, no matter who you are, no matter what title you hold, and in this case, no matter how much time has passed. I want to thank, and everybody in this room should thank, the FBI, the prosecutors, and the agents who worked on this matter. It includes the intelligence community and our federal and state law enforcement partners. They did the work here, so thank you. There's a reason why myself and the senator and other leadership are here and not in Washington, D.C. to announce this indictment. The community here, you all, understands the history of the Cuban regime better than anyone in America. Many families here know the cost of oppression. I've heard stories over the past week and past months, every one of them heartbreaking. They know that the pain caused by the regime did not stop at the island's shores. And today's indictment, while it does not bring back the murdered victims, it makes a statement. The United States government has not forgotten these innocent men who were shot out of the sky. And as in every criminal case, the defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty by a jury of their peers. But today, the Department of Justice has taken an important step and brought this indictment. I'm proud to stand here on this podium with U.S. Attorney Jason Redding Quinones to my right, Chris Rea, Deputy Director of the FBI. You're gonna get to clap. You're gonna get to clap for Jason in 20 seconds. Chris Rea, Deputy Director of the FBI, and James Utheimer, the Attorney General of this great state. And your great U.S. Senator is here as well. She's very busy in D.C., but wouldn't miss this for the world. So thank you for being here, Senator Moody. So I want to thank Jason for his leadership down here in Florida. He's doing a great job beyond today, and I'd also ask him to replace me at the podium to say a few words. So thank you, Jason, very much.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. It may sound a little repetitive, some of the things we're saying, but they're worthy of saying twice, 3 times, 100 times. So bear with us. For nearly 70 years, the communist Cuban regime has acted with impunity in its systematic repression of its people. And for the last 30 years, this regime's senior leadership has gone unchallenged for its murder of 4 Americans. Today, the United States announces a historic indictment charging RAUL Castro and 5 co-defendants for their roles in the February 24th, 1996 shootdown of 2 brothers to the rescue. A Miami grand jury has charged these defendants with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals, destruction of aircraft, and 4 counts of murder. The victims were 4 unarmed civilian pilots engaged in humanitarian work: Carlos Costa, Armando Alejandre Jr., Mario de la Peña, and Pablo Morales. They were not combatants, they were not armed, and they posed no threat. According to the indictment, Raul Castro, then Minister of the Cuban Revolutionary Armed Forces, authorized and oversaw a military chain of command that ended with Cuban fighter jets firing air-to-air missiles at civilian aircraft over international waters. Those missiles destroyed the planes without warning and killed all aboard. For 30 years, the families have waited. The Miami community has waited, and our country has waited. Today is a step towards accountability. This is the first time in almost 70 years that a senior leadership of the Cuban regime has been charged in the United States for acts of violence resulting in the death of Americans. The passage of time does not erase murder. It does not diminish the value of those lives, and it does not weaken our commitment to the rule of law. Standing here in the Freedom Tower gives this moment added meaning. This is the Ellis Island for Cuban refugees. It was the main processing center for countless exiles who fled communist Cuba with the hopes of reaching the American dream. My own mother spent her first night in the United States in this very building. After fleeing brutal communist Cuba, like so many families in Miami, mine understands what it means to arrive here with little more than hope and a chance to rebuild under the protection of American law. That history reminds me of the duty we carry, a duty to seek justice for victims, a duty to stand with families who have carried this pain for decades, and a duty to make it clear that those who kill Americans cannot simply wait out American justice. Today's date, May 20th, also carries deep meaning for the Cuban people. It is their 4th of July. It marks Cuba's independence from colonial Spain. It reminds us that the pursuit of freedom, dignity, and accountability spans generations and still lives alive and well in the heart of the Cuban community. Today's indictment is one part of that long effort. When I came into office in August of last year, I made reviving this case a priority. And I want to thank the team that made it happen. My first assistant, U.S. Attorney Yara Lorenzo Kalukas. And my Assistant United States Attorneys, Abby Waxman and Mike Gilfarb. In conjunction with FBI Miami's Cuba squad, which we're not going to name or show their faces, for their commitment and drive to seeing this case through. It's incredible work. I also want to thank Mr. Attorney General for his incredible support and steady leadership of the department. And before I conclude, I also want to acknowledge the assistance of Florida Attorney General's office. Attorney General James Upmeyer and his team have been strong partners in this effort. Their support reflects the best of federal and state law enforcement working together in service of justice. With that, I turn the podium over to FBI's Deputy Director, Chris Rea. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Before I begin, I specifically want to thank the Attorney General and, of course, the U.S. Attorney here for allowing me to speak to you all today. And I also want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to showcase the small part that the FBI played. As was stated, today marks a significant moment in a long, long journey for justice. A journey that began 30 years ago with an unprovoked attack on American lives. 4 humanitarians were on a noble mission to help those fleeing oppression. Instead, their lives were violently taken in a reckless act by the Cuban regime. The FBI, the Department of Justice, and countless others never forgot them, and we never stopped hunting for the truth. Today's announcement shows that if it's 5 months, 5 years, 5 decades, we will keep pursuing you, and we'll keep pursuing anyone who intends to harm our citizens, and they will face American justice. I'd like to thank our dedicated special agents, our dedicated prosecutors, our dedicated intelligence analysts, and our dedicated professional staff, as well as our counterintelligence program, for never giving up. Enormous credit is due to the many teams across the 16 different FBI cases regarding this matter. The teams who have worked to hold members of the Cuban government's WASP network accountable. Our people have systematically and relentlessly searched for evidence, conducted countless interviews, and pieced together critical intelligence for nearly 3 decades. They turned dead ends into fresh leads. And over the years, that hard work has paid off with convictions of multiple operatives for activities related to that vicious shoot-down. The charges we announced today are only the latest milestone on that road to justice, a road paved with persistence, partnership, and extreme resolve. To anyone who spies on our country or harms our citizens, know this: the FBI, the Department of Justice, has a long memory. We will come after you, and we will find you. As I close, I'd like to close with a personal anecdote, as this is deeply personal to me. You see, I was a former member of the United States Coast Guard right here in Miami Beach in Key West, Florida in the 1990s. I conducted numerous humanitarian missions with my fellow Coast Guardsmen, rescuing Cuban citizens who were just trying to find a better life. I also was fortunate enough to act as security during remembrance ceremonies held at the 12 nautical mile limit just outside of Cuban territorial waters. I served on Coast Guard cutters that provided the security to the friends and family who were just trying to remember their lost loved ones. So for me, today brings everything full circle. So in that vein, we dedicate all 3 decades of casework to the memories of the loved ones lost that day. To the victims' families and friends, we stand with you as we hold those responsibilities to account. Now, I'm going to turn it over to the U.S. Senator of this great state, Senator Moody. Thank you.
What a day. What a day. 3 months ago, I joined you on the anniversary to mark the killing of Carlos, Armando, Mario, Pablo, and I said it was not a cold case. It was never a cold case. It was never a whodunit. We always knew who was responsible for the killing of those young men. That was 3 months ago. And I am so proud to join you today to say we're finally bringing justice to those families, and not just those families. Everyone sitting here today for the past 30 years who have kept this case hot, who have met with me as the Attorney General, who repeatedly met with law enforcement, who repeatedly met with leaders, so many who came together and kept that case hot, like those that are no longer with us, like Lincoln Diaz-Balart. He would be right here in the front row today. They kept it hot. And just 3 months later, we are standing here on this important day when Cuba became a free state, a free people, to say we are living up to bringing accountability to the Castros and the regime that stole that independence. That's what we're doing today. It's an honor to be here today with our acting Attorney General Todd Blanche as the indictment is unsealed against others, but particularly against RAUL Castro for his role in the Brothers to the Rescue murders. This moment has been decades in the making, and I want to thank all of the lawyers who read over all of the trial transcripts, the weeks and weeks of trial transcripts that put back together every piece of evidence and waited for that last piece of evidence to come into view and into your possession, and never gave up. I never gave up. For so many Cuban families, they know you can never become complacent in defending liberty, in fighting for freedom. And Florida is the symbolism of fighting for freedom. We're in the beating heartbeat of that for this nation. So I thank you. Thank you for being here today and remembering what it's like to hold tyrants accountable. And it is why I applaud the Department of Justice for bringing these charges. You know, previous administrations, as those of you met with leadership, reminded them of 30 years ago what happened. Previous administrations would release the one person we convicted related to it. Maybe even go down there and go to a baseball game. The last administration decided we were going to, I don't know, relax our banking restrictions or whatever. Maybe coddle them into freedom. But not this administration. They took the bold step of actually bringing accountability and understanding that accountability works. so we thank President Trump for recognizing that, for being brave and bringing justice for these 4 men, for their families, and indeed for freedom. And I want to tell you, when Governor DeSantis appointed me to be your newest United States Senator, he did so and said, I want you to take everything you know about this state, every person you've met with, everything you've learned, every battle you've fought to make Florida what it is, take that to Washington and let's get things done. And I am so proud to be here today to say we got things done. And so on today, May 20th, on the day that Cuba became a free and independent state, I would like to end my visit with you by reading the following. And it is a penalty sheet in the Southern District of Florida, United States District Court, advising that RAUL Castro will face count 1, conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals, facing a maximum term of imprisonment of life imprisonment. Counts 2 and 3, destruction of aircraft, facing a maximum term of imprisonment on each count of up to 5 years in prison. And counts 4 through 7, the charges of murder, facing a maximum term of imprisonment on each count of death or life imprisonment. God bless you. God bless this great free state of Florida and our United States of America.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here and support Attorney General Blanche, Senator Moody, and your great United States Attorney, Jason Redding Quinones. Communist revolution always begins with the same utopian lie, a classless, stateless paradise of abundance and freedom. But we know the reality. In reality, there is no abundance, nor freedom. Rather, it obstructs individual personal property rights, suffocates merit, and centralizes total power in the hands of tyrants. We've seen what communism has brought us. Over 100 million people that have lost their lives, engineered famines, and the total destruction of human liberty. Just 90 miles from our Florida shorelines, the Castro family has ruled the island with an iron fist. For nearly 50 years, RAUL Castro directed the armed forces and served as chief enforcer. The very man who traded the promise of revolution for a prison state. And under his command, and to this day, Cuba remains a dungeon. Political dissidents are ripped from their homes at night under fabricated charges. They're dragged through the streets, beaten, and imprisoned for decades. I know this pain is all too real for many of you in this room. The people have long suffered because of that communist regime. And today that hits very close to home, here in the Freedom Tower, with the brothers to the rescue. RAUL Castro ordered those fighter jets to shoot down unarmed civilian aircraft. It was not an accident. It was intentional, premeditated, state-sanctioned murder. And their criminal conspiracy violated Florida's sovereignty They embedded spies here in Miami and across jurisdictions down into the Florida Keys, revealing the intelligence that would put these civilian aircraft in the crosshairs. And yet for too long, leaders in Washington looked the other way. They sat by idly. They even attended baseball games with the very man that directed the murders. Not anymore. We're blessed to have a president, Donald J. Trump, we are blessed to have a president in Donald J. Trump who will not bend the knee for communist tyrants. And we are blessed to have Attorney General Blanche and your United States Attorney that advance justice and rule of law and who are not going to politically weaponize government. It's an honor to support them in this endeavor. Last year, right after I took office, I directed our prosecutors to reopen the investigation into the Castros and these murders. Working hand in hand with the U.S. Attorney and supporting his team, we are today one step closer to advancing justice. And the cooperation between the United States and state of Florida could not be more critical than today. Americans deserve justice. Floridians deserve justice. The family members of these men that lost their lives, they deserve justice. Now, going forward, let me be crystal clear. There can be no future for a free Cuba so long as the Castros and their criminal gang of thugs remain in power. We now have the leaders that will pursue that which is right and just. That I know. So get ready. There's more to come. God bless America and God bless the free state of Florida.
So we're going to just take a couple questions, although the questions should be directed to the reason why we're here today and not something else. So are there other reporters? And Pierre.
Attorney General Blanche, key question, why now? Was there a breakthrough in this case? Can you speak to the evidence that leads you to believe that Raul Castro directly participated in the deaths of those Americans who were killed? And I have a follow-up.
Well, I cannot explain or justify why now as opposed to 2 decades ago or 30 years ago when it happened. But what I can say is that you just heard a lot of people talk about a ton of work that the FBI did, state and local intelligence communities, our U.S. Attorney and the Attorney General's, the State Attorney General's team. And that evidence was presented to a grand jury in late April, and an indictment was returned. So I can't, as far as what the evidence is, well, a lot of it's in the indictment, and it would not be appropriate or fair to comment outside of the indictment about the evidence. But as you guys know, a grand jury is presented with evidence and then returns an indictment to the extent that they believe there's probable cause that a crime has been committed, which a grand jury certainly did here.
And quick follow-up, what are the prospects that you could get Raul Castro to the United States to face justice, given the situation there, and what steps are the U.S. willing to take to get him back here?
Well, we indict men outside of this country all the time, and there's all kinds of different ways that we get them here. The reason why we indict somebody is because we want them here to face justice in front of a jury of their peers. So How we go about doing that obviously depends on the circumstances in the case, and I'm not going to go beyond that, but we expect that we didn't indict. This isn't a show indictment. This is an indictment because we expect that there was a warrant issued for his arrest. So we expect that he will show up here by his own will or by another way and go to prison. All right, next question.
Another way, huh?
Yep, go ahead.
Are any others in the Castro family potentially tied up in this? Could there be other charges from members in the Castro family from the Castro regime?
Well, as you just heard, this is an indictment in some ways 30 years in the making. There is not a prosecutor in this room or an FBI agent in this room that ever stops investigating. So whether there will be additional charges, whether there are additional defendants charged, who knows? But an investigation like this is never over. And so I assure you the men and women who have been working tirelessly on this case for the past several months, years, are not just going to retire. So you just point to somebody.
Good afternoon. Many Cuban Americans are elated, emotional, hopeful on a day like today. What do you tell the Cuban community who is happy about today's announcement, but is wondering how you pursue these charges? What comes next?
I mean, that's the same question I just answered. I think that there's a process that happens, right? And so what's the first process? It's a charge, it's an indictment, and that happens all across this country constantly. And then the next question is, okay, so when is this guy going to show up and you know, appear in court and have a trial or what have you? And I would say to those that wonder whether this is just an indictment or we're going to go away, we're not. So go ahead. Yes, the blue shirt. Yeah. I'll go to the middle next.
Attorney General Blanche, we would like to know what would be the next step to, a lot of people are wondering if there will be a sort of attack, military response from the United States, if this now indictment gives permission for the United States to be closer to Cuba and again get Raul Castro and those others implicated here to the United States.
So I'm the acting Attorney General of the Department of Justice. We bring charges. So the question you asked is a question that involves the Department, the President of the United States, the Secretary of War, the Secretary of State, and doesn't involve the acting Attorney General. So what I can tell you is that this is this indictment, as we've said a bunch of times today, is a result of a lot of hard work and what we believe is an important step in bringing some semblance of justice to the families and friends and loved ones of these men who were murdered. But beyond that, I'm not going to talk about what could happen with Cuba beyond that. Yes,
Idiots.
go ahead.
Attorney General Gloria Ordaz from Telemundo 51. Thank you for this opportunity. The next step is going to be an arrest warrant, and I ask you this because the Cuban exile would love to see Raul Castro in the same position of Nicolás Maduro. And a lot of legal experts that we have interviewed during these days have said that Raul Castro, that this indictment will be more symbolic than practice, and that Raul Castro should probably die in Cuba. What is your message for them?
Well, I'm not going to compare cases, for one. For two, like I said a few minutes ago, we indict men who are not physically within the United States all the time. This is not a new endeavor or adventure for us. And so the way that we get people here who are charged with a crime varies. There's all kinds of different ways. And this is not, you know, there's an arrest warrant issued for a reason, because we certainly expect and believe that Mr. Castro is entitled to his day in court right here in Miami. Sue, yep.
Thank you, sir. Jesse Kirsch with NBC News. You mentioned that the grand jury approved these charges weeks ago. curious to know what, if any, role the CIA director's visit to Cuba in recent days played in deciding to move forward with announcing this indictment. And
I'm not going to get into why we decided to unseal the indictment today, except to note the place that we're standing and the important day that today represents. But yes, you're right. There's a lot of factors that go into when a sealed indictment is unsealed, if ever. And so beyond just the fact that, look, by the way, it wasn't that long ago. It was late April. It's mid-May. So.
Thank you. One other question. If people look at this and say this is at least partially just a pretext to push for regime change in Cuba, what would you say to people who take that perspective?
I don't care what people look at and think. I mean, we returned an indictment, and that's what we're here to talk about. If people want to speculate or think what they will, I don't care. Okay, one more question. Blue.
Final speaker, oh, thank you. Hi, I'm Deborah Acosta with the Wall Street Journal. The final speaker mentioned or hinted at a potential team of people that has been put together to lead the country. Who are those people? Are they in the United States? Are they in Cuba? Is it a mix of both? Can you share a little bit more about that team?
I'm not sure what you're talking about. Can you say it again?
At the final speaker mentioned that there was a team of people that's going to lead this forward.
Final speaker. So why don't we let the final speaker address that?
And thank you for the new nickname.
Yeah, very good.
You will ever be known as the final speaker.
That's probably easier to pronounce than my last name, Uthmeyer, but I don't think I referenced what you're saying. Where I talked about people spread across the state, I was talking about the spies and the criminal conspiracy that the evidence has revealed took place. There were spies working from Miami all the way down to the Florida Keys, gathering intelligence and providing it to the regime to figure out where these aircraft were going to be and put them in harm's way. As far as other geopolitical things, I'm going to stay in my lane for now. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes the press conference on behalf of Miami-Dade College and the Freedom Tower. Thank you so much for being here, and you may go upstairs to an exhibit, Libertad.
So I think in the last 2 hours, you guys have more information than the people who are asking those questions. I don't think they put two and two together. I think there's some people even in our chat who haven't put all this together. So I'm gonna backtrack so you guys can really grasp what's going on, and hopefully I'm giving you information that you can then go verify yourself. You know what happened to Maduro. You know the time frame. You have to remember that there are now 3 separate grand juries working here in the state of Florida. There's one in Miami, there's one in Fort Lauderdale, and there's one in Fort Pierce. Nobody knows what these people are working on, but they are indeed obviously working. Media doesn't talk about it. The fraudsters out there don't talk about it. You now know that the grand juries are actually working down here in South Florida. That's number one. I'm going to cut to this because it's a report on Fox. I was going to do this myself. She's down in Miami.
Hi, that's right, Sandra. And John, I'm here on Calle Ocho in Little Havana in front of Versailles, a very popular historic restaurant where, as the news spread, people are reacting. And I do want to bring in Oscar Fernandez here with me. Hi. He left Cuba in 1961 when you were just 15 years old.
That is correct.
Tell me about what today means in the news of the indictment of Raul Castro.
It means some justice for the Cuban people. For 67 years, I'm sorry, we have been ignored by everybody, the United Nations, the Organization of American States, the European Union, everybody. So we hope this is the beginning of the downfall of the Castro regime. I'm sorry, a little emotional. And we're ready to go back and help in the reconstruction of our country. With work, with money, with investment, and with love. that has been lacking in Cuba for the last 6 decades.
Oscar, thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I know you're getting emotional because this is a huge day for the Cuban community.
It is.
You and yourself, multi-generations. What are you hoping happens next?
Well, this should be the beginning of the downfall. This should be the beginning of a liberation of Cuba with the help of the United States. See, I can no longer fight, but the U.S. is being a second home to us, truth be told. I got kids and grandkids born here in Florida and in New York, and we're ready to do our part. This administration is the only administration I'm sorry, that is trying to open the door for us. And we are not going to let this opportunity go by.
Oscar, thank you so much for sharing that beautiful moment with us here live on television. Yes, of course.
If you can, wipe out
He wants us to get his tears out, but that is the emotion that you're feeling. So during that announcement of that indictment, acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche, she said this is the first time in 70 years that a senior official from that communist Cuban regime is being held accountable for violence against Americans. So as this story progresses, we will be here, Sandra and John, speaking to Cuban Americans about the reaction of that announcement.
God bless.
If you notice what he said, which is different than most people that the left talk to, he's like, we're ready to go back and help. We're ready to go back and spend our money. We want to see this country prosper. These people, as you saw this man, crying. Now, if you've never been to Versailles down here in Miami, in Little Havana, on Calle Ocho, which is a street, it is arguably the best Cuban restaurant I've ever been to. Robin and I go there probably once a month. We drive down to Miami, take a train, whatever. It's an amazing restaurant, and it is the basically cultural hub, that whole area of Little Havana. Excuse me. So that man, as he was exhibiting what he was saying, he was basically speaking for all the people down there. I would say 90% of the people in Little Havana can't wait to go down and swing shovels and dig ditches and do whatever they need to fix their country, and they're willing to invest. See, that's the other part of it. The prosperity part of this is these people have made great money up here, and they would love to see their homeland revitalized and redeveloped. And so what I was saying earlier about having the background knowledge, now you know that there's three separate grand juries that are actually working down here. And then, I see some people talking about this guy's better than Pam Bondi. Just understand, it doesn't matter. I'm not looking to get into any arguments. If you look at the calendar and see the timing on this, Todd Blanche told you that this indictment dropped in late April. It got released today. It got dropped to the public today, but it happened in late April. Who was the Attorney General back then? Pam Bondi left, however you want to say, if you want to say she was fired, whatever. Pam Bondi left in early April. The grand jury didn't turn this around in Castro in a couple weeks, meaning it was already in place. See, the problem that people aren't understanding is number one, what is she doing now? But what did she do before she left? Well, I know she opened up 3 grand juries. What are the grand juries working on? We don't know. But Todd Blanche comes in and he decides, based on whatever timing they have, that today we're going to let this go. We're going to drop it, and so you guys can see it. But I have backed up Pam Bondi for quite some time, because living here in South Florida, I could understand quite a bit of what was going on that wasn't being talked about. But at this point, it doesn't matter who the Attorney General is. By the way, notice even Ashley Moody said when she was talking about Todd Blanche, acting. So let me also tell you something you may not know. You were looking at one former Ashley Moody and one current Attorney General of Florida, James Uthmeyer, the final speaker guy. He is the current Attorney General. Ashley Moody is the past Attorney General. Anybody want to know who the other Attorney General who might be in the mix here? I'll give you a shot. Let's see, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pam Bondi. Again, if you understand what's going on, you had James Uthmeyer, you had Ashley Moody, who said, yeah, I've been, doing some stuff here, who is now the senator, but she was the Attorney General. She succeeded Pam Bondi. So there's been a whole lot of stuff happening that most people don't know. And for some reason, President Trump has kept it that way. And I think we just have to, basically let him cook. There's stuff going on we don't know. We can complain about Epstein and everything else. The man with his team have this planned out, as you saw today, to the T. Today is a Cuban Independence Day. Drop it. Okay, we're going to drop it today. We've had it in our file since, what did he say, April 26th. So for some reason, wink, wink, they held this indictment knowing that John Ratcliffe went to Cuba, the head of the CIA went to Cuba, Marco Rubio went to the Vatican, all knowing the indictment was in hand. When you look at the dates and you listen to what they say, it should make you stop and go, wait a second, April 26th, what has happened since April 26th? Go back and start looking and go, wait a second. So they knew on April 26th they had the indictment. Yes, that's confirmed. Everything subsequent to April 26th that you've seen in public, you now know some of the things that they've been rearranging the chairs. And we don't know. But we do know Marco went over to the Vatican. John Ratcliffe went down to Cuba knowing they had this in their hand. Did Marco Rubio tell the Pope? Probably, maybe. Hey, you might as well help out because we're taking him. John Ratcliffe, hey, you guys might want to cut a deal because we're coming. So who knows what the negotiations that are going on behind the scenes. In addition to that, let me just tell you guys some more information. I've mentioned to you guys a number of times to periodically watch whitehouse.gov. Watch what President Trump is posting, not on Truth Social. I'm talking about his official capacity as the president. So this showed up today, and it says a presidential message on Cuban Independence Day. And as you can see, it's dated May 20th, 2026. Coincidentally? No, no coincidences. So you go through here, and you guys can read it. It says, today we commemorate the Cuban Independence Day, the 124th anniversary of a once free nation. Let me just move that over a little bit so you guys can see it. There we go. Like the American patriots who cast off tyrannical rule 250 years ago, Cuba's founding generations, and yada, yada, yada. And he goes on with this proclamation, and he talks about the regime and what they're doing right now. And then down here, he says, as president, I am taking decisive action on behalf of this long-suffering corner of our hemisphere and to address threats to our national security emanating from the region. Under my leadership, our nation is severing the financial lifelines that for too long have sustained brutal regimes across Central and South America. That's very important. He's telling you, now we're cutting off the flow. We've already cut off the oil. They got no electricity. They got no food. And now we're cutting off the $16 or $18 billion that the Cuban regime has had. All this was posted today. It says, in January, our nation's incredible armed forces carried out one of the most boldest, impressive operations when they went and took Nicolas Maduro with the discombobulator. The indictment This is where he's tying it together. The indictment and removal of Maduro sent a clear message to his socialist allies in Havana. This is our hemisphere. This is our frickin' hemisphere. This is the Don Rowe doctrine in action. This is ours. Forget the media, forget the panicans. The president of the United States just told you, this is ours. You don't like it? It's too bad. We got all this. And he just put this out in a proclamation today. All right. So now continue. Following the Maduro raid, I've enacted powerful new sanctions on Cuba's military and on and on. And he's basically telegraphing to Cuba, it's coming. Anybody who wants to read this stuff, it's Cuban Independence Day. Today we salute them and remember all those who've sacrificed for a free Cuba. And we look with confidence toward a new golden age for the island and its people. How would you read that? How could you read that as anything but, oh, we're coming for you? Now let's go back a day, because there's other stuff that ties into this story. I want to show you this. This is a executive order that he signed yesterday. It says restoring integrity to America's financial system. Now you can read it. It's extremely long. I mean, it's all the wheretofores, heretofores, and go-to-fores. It's really long. It's a really long thing. But basically, we're coming after remittances and we're coming after criminal funds. That was the order. Then they posted a fact sheet that people could actually just simply read along, like a grok, like a cheat sheet. And it talks about it in different points here. This order directs the Secretary of Treasury to issue a formal advisory to financial institutions identifying red flags and suspicious activity patterns. The order also directs Scott Bessent in consultation with federal financial regulators to promote changes to bank secrecy. It also directs them to go on and on and on. But basically what it does is allow him to take Chinese money and all other kind of money that they think that are from bad people. That was yesterday. He also, let me see if I can pull this one up as well. Is this the same one? He also issued this fact sheet yesterday. President Trump integrates financial technology innovation into regulatory frameworks, basically allowing our technology to do the stuff that they want to do with the banking system and the international transfer of money and remittances. I didn't see anybody talking about that. I haven't seen anybody mention that. I hear them all talking and screaming about Massey, which I think President Trump absolutely loves. I think he loves the fact that these people are out here chasing the wrong tail. Look at them. They're over here running around looking at this and Epstein and everything else, and we're cooking. And that's why when he said, and he didn't say it the way they said it, when he said, you know, we're going to take care of Americans, not really worried about that right now. And everybody started freaking out because he's worried about some other stuff for the long term, the golden era. The golden era isn't for a couple weeks. He wants this to be the golden era for America for quite some time. Here, let me give you another example on how that golden era works and how all of a sudden, out of the blue, by now you guys probably know what I'm going to show you, and you kick yourself because you're not watching the playing field. You're not playing chess and understanding where the next move is. So you don't see this. You don't see this coming, that the Dow jumps 500 points as oil and bond yields retreat. This stuff is so easy. You don't need a crystal ball. You just need to have the right information. When everybody's running around screaming about Massey and everyone's running around talking about Epstein, you're looking at the wrong information. It might feel good. It might help you satiate the craving that you have for stupid news, but it's not doing anything for you personally. And so when I talk about skate where the puck is going, oh man, at this point, with everything I just showed you, everything you just saw about Cuba, you understand next they're going to do something in Iran any day now. Where do you think the puck is going to go? Where do you foresee things being on this rocket ship called Trump? And we're worried about the midterms in May when we don't even know what tomorrow brings? I'm pretty sure Raul Castro, well, he knew in April, but a lot of people didn't know what was going to happen today. And when they don't know what's going to happen today and this happens, then all of a sudden people are like, hey, everything is great again today, right? Oh, it's fantastic. And then tomorrow when they come out with some fake news, it's going to drop again. And then they're panicking. Oh my God, I can't believe we can't afford gas. We can't afford groceries. Quick question. How many people can afford groceries today, or even more groceries today, than they could afford it yesterday? How many people can afford more gas today than they could afford it yesterday? They want you focusing on right here. Don't even look at what's happening. When Robin cooks sometimes and she's got everything and she's throwing stuff around and I stand back and watch, I'm like, what in the hell are you doing? What? And what does she tell me? Probably the same thing most of you women and wives tell your husbands. Stay in your lane. Go watch TV. Okay, because right now, none of this on the table makes any sense. I don't have any idea what the hell is going on. Why the eggs stay in your lane? But then when she says, come on in, I'm like, whoa, wow, that smells good. Yeah. Because she knew what to do. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand how this cake was being baked. This meal was being made. All I knew afterwards was I got to eat it. Right now, there are too many people, even in our chat, who aren't understanding how the cook is making this meal. They don't understand all the different levers that the Trump administration is pulling because the media and the idiots just want you focused here. All they want you to do is look right here. And every single one of you that have a great wife that cooks, or maybe you're the guy who cooks, you understand now, like, yeah, I have no idea what she's doing in the kitchen. She just whips stuff up and then it's fantastic. And then she may tell me, don't you eat anything. What do you mean I can't eat anything? When's it going to be ready? It's going to be ready in about 2 hours. I'm hungry now. I need cheap gas now. I need cheap groceries now. And she says, go sit down. Here's a plum. Hold on for an hour or two. And it's going to be really good. That's where we are as a country. You're freaking out because you're hungry right now, and you're freaking out instead of looking at the big picture that everybody else is looking at. People who aren't freaking out, who are completely impervious to the Democrats in the media, because we know what's coming. We know, man, there's a meal coming. I can't freaking wait. It's going to be awesome. Absolutely awesome. They mentioned something, many of you know this as well, and it has to piss off many people, many people, and it's this. This is what they were just talking about at that press conference. This is what people in Miami down here are remember, that president and his wife and their two knucklehead kids went to Cuba and sat right next to the guy who got indicted today, or rather April 26th. Right there. He's sitting next to him. He's sitting next to the guy who he knew killed Americans with his wife and his kids and did nothing. That's a problem. That is a serious problem. And now, President Trump isn't sitting down watching a baseball game and eating some popcorn and having a brew. President Trump's like, we're dragging him in on his ass, I don't care what his condition is. He's going to stand for this. And Marco Rubio is going to go down there and talk to other people. And John Ratcliffe is going to talk to other people. And no, we don't want to see a baseball game. Right there. He can't disavow that picture. The president of the United States was chumming it up and having fun with the guy who just wasted a bunch of Americans. So that's where we are right now. Let's see if SV, you got anything, man?
Hey, it's funny. I had literally just posted a sticker. I'm trying to say a stock ticker update in the chat when you just posted it. Since I like seeing all these numbers as well, I was just reading at the White House X website. There's other things, and here's something that was kind of interesting. President Trump's Intel deal has surged in value to more than $50 billion, a direct windfall for American taxpayers and a major boost for domestic manufacturing. So I said, let me ask Rock, what were the main reasons for today's rise? So you posted it, saw the easing the bond yields and some inflation worries going down. But they said the sharp drop in oil prices, it went down like 5.5%. But here's one it's going to be very interesting because it happens later. NVIDIA, a massive driver of the S&P 500, as you know, is expected to report blockbuster Q1 results, $79 billion in revenue, based strong AI data center growth, and that's supposed to happen later tonight. So expect tomorrow, I think the market's going to go up. Follow the puck. Yes.
Ashley
buy the dip.
Ashley sent me something too. I gotta put this up because what she sent to me, the text that she sent was the Democrats just can't keep up. They have no idea what to do because and same thing with the media. No one has seen a president work like this. Nobody has seen any president that just one after the other. He's just crushing it. So let me see if I can find this. What time was this, Ashley? I'm looking for this post she put up.
Dems are like one-legged men in an ass-kicking contest. They hop around doing nothing. Just
hold on, I'm trying to find it, and I can't find it because it was okay, hold on. I know why. I'm looking under the wrong profile. She said that Marco Rubio put it up, and I was looking at Marco's personal page, not the actual Secretary of State page. All right, let me show you guys this. I'll be right back, SV. Let there be no mistake. This was literally at 1:30, so we're talking an hour ago. Let there be no mistake, the United States stands squarely in support of Bolivia's legitimate constitutional government. We will not allow criminals and drug traffickers to overthrow the democratically elected leaders in the hemisphere. So what we're seeing over and over, which the media, they're not understanding. Whoever made the decision already said, this is ours, period. Everything in the Western, and the Democrats are still not understanding, or they're fighting it, not realizing he has decided that this Monroe Doctrine has turned into the Donroe Doctrine. Boom.
Well, I'm waiting for the ships of Democrats to start sailing down to Cuba to, like, free Cuba, save Cuba.
Oh gosh, it's
Meanwhile, the fraud just keeps on exposing itself. So this happened about 20 minutes ago. Senator Joni Ernst just exposed the truth. Fraudsters are stealing over $1.4 billion a day from American taxpayers. We are being robbed. I mean, that's why J.D. Vance is using his fraud tax force. I mean, they're going after it. I mean, each state, it's 50 states. They're going to be working so hard. They have to be working more, 24/7, for the next 3 years, and they're still not going to get it all.
I mean, it's insane. Like I said, I woke up this morning and I'm like, what am I going to be working on? And I thought it would just be the commencement address. I didn't know things were going to blow up this way. And every single day we click over to you, there's more fraud stuff, and all we have is the Democrats crying. So it's crazy.
Just imagine if we all work together. I mean,
well, you mean
I don't
for the
think that's
country?
ever going to happen. It's like cats and dogs. Some get along, but most hate each other. So it's impossible.
All right. Well, you know what I haven't done in a while. I'm gonna take some comments to finish off before we go
All
to
right.
super chats. So let me go ahead and look at some of these comments you guys hear. Let's see here. Trying to. That's why I don't do it, because it's so hard. I saw a video recently of an ex-FBI guy saying they were installed by the deep state. They heard a guy from Kenya. Yeah, a lot of deep state people got to be freaking out right now. What if we stop paying state tax and the federal? I guess on gas. I could see that exactly. Where else we go? Will there be riots to support Castro? Oh my gosh. Well, not down here. I don't know about where. No, I don't think there are going to be any riots to support Castro. Maybe in New York, because they riot over everything and they just need something to complain about. But now, I mean, if I turned on the local news here, oh my gosh, stock market's even higher than before. President Trump is speaking.
Very at levels that few people would understand. And I think the Cuban population of Miami and certainly beyond Miami, people that came there that were decimated, whose families were ruined, appreciate what the Attorney General just did today and was just doing now. Is just watching it. So we have Cuba on our mind. Very important. Been a lot of problem for a lot of years, and this was I think it was a very big moment for people that, not only Cuban Americans, but people that came from Cuba that want to go back to Cuba, people that want to see their family in Cuba. I think this is a very big day, very important day. They supported me to the nth degree. They supported me at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And so I think it's a very important moment.
Mr. President,
Okay.
what's coming next for Cuba?
Well, we're going to see. It's a failing nation. You see that. It's falling apart. They have no oil. They have no money. It's a failing nation, so I just can't tell you that. But we're there to help. We're there to help the families, the people. And again, a lot of those people are related to me in the sense that I've had such a great relationship with Cuban Americans. They supported me at a 94% level. That's a pretty good level. And their relatives are there. So we got to, on a humanitarian basis, we're there to help.
Mr. President there last week.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that at all?
Well, we have a lot of people there. We have the CIA there. We have Marco is there. Marco's parents, as you know, were from Cuba. So we have a lot of expertise in Cuba. And it's not going to be like the biggest thing we've ever done, but I will tell you, to a lot of people, it's going to be one of the most important. They've been looking for this moment for 65 years. So we'll see what happens. But we're going to, in the meantime, we're going to have to help them out. They have no way of living. They have no food. They have no electricity. They have no energy at all. But they do have great people. There are a lot of great people. I mean, I have so many Cuban friends in Miami, mostly in Miami and Florida, and they're unbelievable people. They're unbelievable entrepreneurs, and they'd like to go back. I think hopefully they're going to want to live here, but they want to go back. Maybe they'll invest. We'll see what happens. But we're freeing up Cuba.
Mr. President, how much longer do you anticipate the embargo having to be in place on Cuba?
We'll see. We'll be announcing it pretty soon.
On the table here, Mr. President, should we expect any escalation here, or should they expect anything? Yes.
No, you won't. There won't be escalation. I don't think there needs to be. Look, the place is falling apart. It's a mess, and they've sort of lost control. They've really lost control of Cuba.
Do you think Raul
action like you did with Maduro?
I don't want to say that.
Newsom is on Capitol Hill today. He says that he doesn't think J.D. Vance has what it takes to come after you. What's your response to that?
Who said that?
Gavin Newsom.
He said doesn't have what?
Trump, the era of Trump ends with you, and that J.D. Vance doesn't have what it takes to come after you.
Well, look, we've done a lot, and J.D.'s very talented. He's a smart guy. He'll do very well if it's J.D. We have a lot of very talented people. So I think hopefully we're going to leave something that's going to be real easy to run. We're doing a lot. We're doing a lot, and J.D.'s a very talented guy.
Iran have to respond after you said yesterday you're about an hour away from making a decision? Where does that stand today? Have you heard anything from them?
Very right on the borderline, believe me. If we don't get the right answers, it goes very quickly. We're all ready to go. We have to get the right answers. It would have to be a complete 100% good answers. And if we do, we save a lot of time, energy, and lives, most importantly.
How long will you wait?
Could go very quickly. Or a few days. It could be a few days, but it could go very quickly. Iran is a defeated nation. We're dealing with some people, and we're dealing, actually, I must tell you, we're dealing with some very good people. We're dealing with people that are, I think, far more reasonable than the people that are really no longer with us. We're dealing with some people with talent, with good brain power, and we're pretty impressed by it. So hopefully those people will make a deal that's going to be great for everybody. But I don't know. Do I get what? I never get tired. But what I like to do, if I can save war by waiting a couple of days, or I can save people being killed by waiting a couple of days, I think it's a great thing to do.
Stephen Colbert's last show tomorrow night. What's your message to him, the late night host Stephen Colbert? It's his last show after him being such a staunch critic of yours. What's your message?
I'll have a message at a later date. Okay.
Sir, on Iran, did the U.S. offer Iran oil sanctions relief during the peace talks, as Iranian state media has reported?
No, I haven't heard that. I'm not doing any relief until they sign an agreement. When they sign an agreement, we can get that place built up again and have something that's really a good country for the people. But no, we haven't offered anything.
Message to American families who are scared by the rise of AI. They're worried that their kids are not going to be able to have jobs someday because AI will
I'll tell you, AI has been amazing because right now we have more jobs, more people working right now in the United States by far than we ever had before. And outside of the war, and I assumed the economy was going to go down, the stock market would go down 20-25%. It's actually up. The stock market is higher now than it was before I started the Iran situation. And on the Iran, I had no choice because they were going to have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to give them a nuclear weapon. But that's going to end soon, one way or the other. Oil is going to come tumbling down. There's so much oil. We have 1,600 ships in the Strait that are loaded up with oil that are going to be coming out very soon. So we'll have to see. But the military has been unbelievable. The blockade has been infallible. Not one ship has gotten through the blockade. 37 have tried. They all wish they didn't.
Can you tell us about your call with Erdogan?
Yeah, I had a very good call with President Erdogan, and pretty standard. We have a very good relationship. Isn't it nice that I have relationships with some very tough people? He's a tough guy, and but I have a relationship with him that nobody else does. He's actually done a good job. He's been, I think very much of an ally. Some people would doubt that, but I think he's been a great ally, and his people respect him. His people respect him a lot.
Mr. President, in response to people that are critical of your settlement over your IRS case about the tax now that you can't be prosecuted for tax?
Yeah, well, what happened is I was suing IRS for a lot of different reasons. One of the reasons is they released my tax returns, which they're not allowed to do. Now, they showed I pay a lot of tax. I may even release my current returns because they show I pay a lot of money. But they're not supposed to do that. They were in lockboxes as president. And they released them. And a certain firm released them, which was, I guess, a private firm. But it released them to a lot of the fake news. And the fake news went, and you're just not allowed to do that. And many other things happened. So I released them from the lawsuit, and I guess they made a settlement of some kind. I wasn't involved in the settlement. I could have been involved, but I didn't choose to be. So they made a settlement. Also, the anti-weaponization of people. I mean, people were destroyed. They went to jail. Their families were ruined. They committed suicide. All the Biden administration and the Obama administration, both of them. I mean, the Obama administration started it. The Biden administration was horrible in terms of what they've done to people is incredible. And we're reimbursing those people for their legal fees and for their costs and for anybody involved. but they destroyed people. People committing, I read the other day, a person committed suicide over it. They went, you know, it was the most violent thing I've ever seen in politics, what they did. And yet if I say, oh, let's look at this one or that one, they say weaponization, weaponization. What they did in terms of weaponization will never be allowed to happen in this country again. So we think that those people, we think that anybody involved in that process should partake. And you're talking about peanuts compared to the value. It destroyed the lives of many, many people. Thank you very much.
Wow. Oh man, that one comment when he said they asked him, how do you get tired? Nah, I don't get tired. I'm here to save a country. Imagine I want you to think of something. I want you to imagine going through college, 4 years, your parents pay for your college, and you get a job, and you're going to be a reporter, and your parents and your friends think you get hired by the White House pool, and you're going to be in the top notch of all reporters in the country, and the president of the United States calls on you with everything going on in the world, and you say, what are you going to say to Stephen Colbert? The other reporter standing next to her should have slapped her. You're a friggin' idiot. You had your shot. There it is right there. Yeah, Mr. President, what do you think about Stephen Colbert? You got a message for him? You're really stupid. You're incredibly stupid. Your parents, they burned through the money that they went to college. I hope you didn't take out a student loan. You're a freaking idiot. With everything that's happened just today, the president is talking about what just happened in regards to indicting Raul Castro, and you asked him, what are you going to say to Stephen Colbert? Oh my God, this is one of those ones where I'm glad they didn't show her face on camera, because I would have loved to blast it. I don't know who it was. I would love to have known who asked that question, but it was so perfect. After what we saw today, was such a perfect question, because now you have no doubt, if you had any before, these people have no clue. None. They're not going to tell you the right stories. They're not going to give you the right information. They don't want you to know, and they think that Stephen Colbert is a big news item. God help us. God help us with these people. Stephen Colbert. Hey, man. Wake up over there.
Barry, half our country is literally retarded. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to shame. I mean, I'm sorry. It is true. I mean, the question that the reporter asked about Governor Gavin Newsom saying J.D. Vance doesn't have what it takes.
He looked at her like, what? What? What did you just say?
And he was so nice. Like, JD's very talented, smart.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have said, Newsom, he crossed his leg like, lighten the loafers, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he wanted to say that, but I mean, I hope he runs. I will love to see how he stumbles and trips over himself in these debates. I mean, it would be great TV content.
No, he won't. He can't run at this point. It's funny, after being up in Washington and watching how that, sausage doesn't get made, how it just gets laid out all over the table. It doesn't surprise me, but I think, people don't realize how stupid these people really are. I mean, they just have this idea. I'm going to write this blog post or something, or I'm going to do a story on what President Trump said about Stephen Colbert.
Here's a good example. I don't know who Clayton Morris is, but he wrote, it came up in the feed. Let me just real quick. The Epstein class wins.
You don't know who you don't know who Clayton Morris is?
I don't know. I don't follow him.
All right. Clayton Morris used to be on Fox. Now he has a very big, well-known, long time podcast called Redacted. And so I can't wait to hear what he said. Go ahead, please.
Well, now that I know that, it comes up in the feed when somebody comments. Well, Clandestine responded to this comment by Clayton. The Epstein class wins again. This was last night. This is a dark day for America. Clandestine writes, or hear me out. you're just an idiot. Why? I mean, this stuff stays out there forever. It doesn't go away, you know?
Excuse me. Here's why. Is because they've cultivated an audience. I've said it before. It's the National Enquirer audience. There are a lot of crazy people out there. There's a lot of insane, crazy people who, like moths, love this stuff. And because they love it, they can click on it and watch it. And you're feeding them what they want. You're feeding them the insanity pill that they love to take.
I guess I was vaccinated against that because I don't get affected by that. I'm outside touching grass, you know, living my life, enjoying life. Lucky, you know, I'm blessed. I'm very blessed. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, but seeing these comments, I mean, oh, there's so many. I'm sure you come across a lot of it too, Barry, and you're like, what?
I'm gonna tell you something else about Clayton Morris.
Okay.
And
I literally didn't know who he was.
If anybody's in here looking at it, but do yourself a favor and look up, why did Clayton Morris move to Portugal? I'll just leave that at that, and then you can see. So, because most people don't know he doesn't even live here. He doesn't even live in America, and he doesn't live in America because of one big reason, which I'm not going to get into. But if you just Google that, I swear to see the look on your face when you see it, but you don't see it.
I asked Grok. No, it was Grok came out with something, but I don't think it's what I think you're insinuating. It said because of amid intense personal and business stress from dozens of civil lawsuits.
That's exactly what I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Accusing them of real estate fraud.
Oh, you dig into that. Yeah. I gotta go. I gotta go to Portugal and start a podcast over there. Okay.
Exit stage left.
but you're talking about Epstein. Oh, okay. You dig into that. You want a rabbit hole? Go into some of that. That's just,
man, the hypocrisy is it's so rampant. I mean, this is so funny. You know, it makes my job so easy because every day I have so much to, you know, send to our fanfare channel here, and you know, of course, you. I mean, I never have a shortage of news. Never. It's awesome.
I don't understand. Like people say, hey, your subscribers don't move. I don't care about subscribers. I want people who want to watch and want to listen. And most importantly to me, who want to do their own edification. If I give you a nugget, go run with it. Like all that stuff that's on, I mean, all that stuff that's on whitehouse.gov. I mean, some of it is like a book. There's so much that he did in the last 2 days alone. I mean, he could do an entire show just on what the executive orders and the fact sheets that he just did in the last 2 days, and then tie it into with what you just saw. And you know, the media is not even going to talk about it. You're going to get more information just by looking at information. Yeah. But anyway.
Well, the transparency aspect, when you compare it to the last 4 years, I mean, the website was like, there was nothing ever posted. I looked occasionally, nothing was ever posted. And then when it was posted, Kamala plagiarized, remember?
Yeah. She couldn't do it. So
she couldn't even write her own stuff.
Nope.
Even then.
I see some of the people put I saw the comments. I'm like, I'm not talking about it. I'm not going to get into Clayton Morris. I love just telling people, kind of look at that. You'll see. You'll see. All right,
awesome.
Thank you for today, man.
All right, we have a night show. People did ask whether you're going to go on tonight. I believe you are. No, yes, no.
Well, put it this way: if something else happens, but
okay,
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, this is another 3 hours. 3 hours again right now. I mean,
nothing, man.
I was like, okay, well, just talk a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, Cuba, and I saw that blow up, and I'm like, oh, I gotta cover that. And
I missed the rally days. Those 10-hour streams, you know, those are great.
They're coming back. Woo! Don't for an instant think he's not hitting the road come midterms, because it's for sure happening.
Look forward to that.
All right, brother.
All right, Barry. I hope if you don't have a show, I hope you have a great evening, sir.
You too. I'll let you guys know. All right, so let me go ahead and do super chats, and I want you guys to know, like I said, I wanted to make sure that I did 4 o'clock every day, but then if something comes up, I have to jump on it. And by the time we're done here with the after party and everything, it'll be 3 hours or so. And then, I do have a wife. I do have a wife, and I also have some stuff we have to get done on the house that we're buying. So please bear with me. I'm not trying to shut you guys out. I'm going to find a way to do some shorter videos. I don't know how. Maybe I just turn on the camera at night and just talk without having any cuts or anything, just giving, we'll think about that. Let me know what you think about that. In any event, let's do super chats. Pekoski, thank you very much. Chiosop, a lot of those places that they told us to hate over the years were places where they were laundering money all around the world. Exactly. Tracy Cutler, thank you very SP's mod for all you bring such clarity. Thank you very much for watching. D Harris, thank you. G Fisher, this move on Cuba means hope and happiness for millions of kids and so many people. It's beyond huge. That's why I jumped on it. This is a massive story. Fume Drummer, once Cuba gets its stuff together in 10 years, there might be a Major League Baseball team there. The Havana Gitmos. I'm telling you, if they get to a point where they can get a franchise in Cuba, that team, that team will basically be one of the best teams in baseball. It would be fantastic. Mark Kahn, President Trump has you lift your hands up, and they say there and they stay there. D. Harris, thank you. Barry, for your comment says, thank you. Chiosop, will the Dems condemn the indictment? That's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking around to see what they say. They have to at this point. It's too good. Jeanette, happy 4th of July to the Cuban American people, for sure. Penny, heartfelt thanks to Barry for the great news. Finally, justice for the American citizens killed 30 years ago on a humanitarian rescue mission, proving it's never too late for justice. Thank God murder does not have a statute of limitations. Chiosop, you think Kamala or Joe could have liberated Cuba? Could have, wouldn't have. The lawnmower guy, detective. God bless Barry and the Fanfare family. Thank you very much. Mariah, thank you. Haley Aruzanko, when the godly are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked are in power, they groan. Praise God for Trump. This truly is America first. Yeah, if you guys saw that, I'm going to have to clip that guy from Cuba, from Miami, who's Cuban. He just couldn't even talk. He was so happy. That's probably what I'll probably have a lot of celebrations. I should drive down to Miami, but the traffic will be nuts. Baldest cat, God bless the Cuban people. Yes, Chiosop, Bonnie set things up and stepped back into protection. I wonder what she did. That would be good to know. Let's see here. They're talking about something else in Miami. Hold on.
Historic day in Miami and beyond. This is the indictment which mentions Raul Castro's name the first time on an indictment in the United States of America. He and 5 others facing serious charges. Raul Castro, 94 years old, facing charge of murder regarding those 4 men who were shot down in 2 separate planes helping to rescue Cuban exiles. Attorney General Todd Blanche, the acting Attorney General, asked about an hour ago here at the ceremony honoring the 4 whether Castro may be brought to the United States to face justice. Watch.
The reason why we indict somebody is because we want them here to face justice. So we expect that he will show up here by his own will or by another way.
As I mentioned, DOJ announcing that indictment today. Officials made the announcement at a ceremony honoring the 4 men who died as part of the Brothers to the Rescue 30 years ago in 1996. They were helping people flee from the communist nation. 2 planes shot down. Raul Castro led the military in 96 and allegedly ordered the shoot down, according to the government. The indictment says that he met with military leaders and authorized them to take decisive and deadly action against the aircraft. Today's news comes 1 week after after the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, met with Cuban officials on the ground in Havana to send a message directly from the president regarding Cuba's future. Things on the island are bad, blackouts, gas shortages, to name a few. What's unclear, though, what remains unclear, I should say, Trace, whether Castro actually comes to the United States. Of course, Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general, did not rule it out. And just a few months ago, earlier this year, Nicolas Maduro, the former leader of Venezuela, was taken to the United States and is in custody, facing charges right now in New York. So anything.
Whew, wow. Can you imagine being 94 years old? You could probably just barely like drink your pablum and your oatmeal, and you might have to get dragged out. Crazy. Tinley, when do we see birth of the Shield of America? I'd like to know what they're doing as well. That's pretty interesting. Jerome, what's the deal with Brazil's Lula doing a drive-by at the White House? Interesting question. Interesting question. We'll have to see what transpires with him. Chiosouth, the reporter was poked in the brain repeatedly during college by members of the football team and the baseball team and soccer team. G. Fisher, they will be having margaritas with the Cuban man. No, Cuba Libre, not margaritas, Cuba Libre. That's what they drink down there, which is nothing more than a rum and coke with some lime in it. Let's see here. Mountain Goddess, take a look out yesterday, Brian Maxwell's channel, showing old footage of admitting. Thanks for the, thank you though. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow. If not, let me see if anything breaks for tonight.
News.